What's up, y'all? Sir Kirk finally back to YouTube here. I've been gone for a while as I've mainly been getting settled in at my new place and I got a new career while also taking care of my new family. So, sorry it has been so long since I've made a video. So, the following that you see right here is footage that I've taken about a month ago when I first ever beat the Jurassic challenge mode in Jurassic World Evolution. So after some experience, I wanted to release a guide detailing my suggestions and tips on how to take down the challenge modes as we prepare for the new JWE content that will come later in November. But before getting into my guide, let me just say that with all the previous content updates to this game, it has made this a much more enjoyable experience than how the game used to be. While I still want to see the game improve going into the future, what we've gotten so far has been pretty welcome additions in my eyes. So without further ado, let me get into my tips. So the first one that I want to talk about is practicing in challenge mode. So when you do these practice sessions, you should just basically set the difficulty options in sandbox mode on Isla Nublar to the highest settings, and then just basically practice on getting a 5-star park while maximizing the space of enclosures by building minimalistic cages with the most dinosaurs in it, and you can learn which dinosaurs can coexist each other to maximize the total star rating per enclosure, as well as to prevent diversity penalties. So this is probably one of my most important tips, because if you're able to do this successfully, then you can basically have a blueprint for what you want to create in your park, so you won't waste time planning while the time's ticking in challenge mode. So for me personally, when I do start challenge mode, I always go for getting Struthiomimus first, as they are really cheap to mass produce, as well as you can get a steady flow of income just from a small little herd. Especially in Jurassic mode, I always create a ranger team, because in that mode, especially, illness will strike very quickly and very early on, and you definitely want to be able to take care of that before it just ends your playthrough. But yeah, definitely for me, it's as soon as you get the Struthiomimus, you want to try to get the other fossils that you can get for that before you get the first star, because once you get all those different dinosaurs, hopefully your diversity penalty will be low enough so you can finally hit that 1 star. But yeah, before you get that 1 star, you can do contracts and get pictures from the ranger team, just something to help boost your income early on, because bankruptcy is definitely one of the most important things to avoid, especially when you have such low money to start from. However, once you get that first star, make sure you have contracts in place that you won't complete, as you don't want to complete contracts to get the the faction rating, or the faction like you don't want the faction to start liking you, because in especially Jurassic difficulty, their reputation that you have with them will decline really fast. So if you don't do a lot of contracts for them early on, you don't get a high reputation with them, then they won't get mad at you and they won't sabotage you, because even though it might seem nice to want to get contracts to get the money from completing them, the risk of sabotage later in game is just not worth it, in my opinion. So as soon as I get that 1 star, I just basically keep contracts that I won't complete, or I know I won't complete, just so don't have to worry about sabotage later in the future. But yeah, once you get the first star and you get the research center up, I would say immediately get the dig yield research option, because once you load that thing up on your digging building, the one that gets the dinosaur bones, you will be able to get all the different resources that you can sell. And it turns, especially even Jurassic mode, it turns this to much more bearable to contend with, as when you get the sellable materials, your Hammond Foundation taxes won't take a cut of that, so you basically have all that money to use to expend on your park. And so especially on Jurassic mode, where the Hammond Foundation fees are just so crazy high, that in anything you can get from the fossils or from those sellable materials, it will really be a great help for your park. But be warned, as as you start depleting the dig sites, it's best to make sure that your park is expanding in line with your depletion rate of the dig sites, because if you exhaust your dig sites and you don't have any means of getting money from those resources, then your park will quickly plummet into bankruptcy. But yeah, once you get the first star, the basic process of the game is just grinding for materials, getting the unlocked dinosaurs, placing them in your park, expanding your park as you add new dinosaurs, and then getting more stars, getting more technology, and then that just repeats on, well, with also diseases and storms and whatnot taking place. So, it's a pretty simplistic process going into it. It's just making sure you can do it in a timely fashion, as well as making sure everything's balanced and taken care of. So, but besides the dig yield, besides that technology, other useful technologies that I found, especially for the Jurassic difficulty playthrough, were reduce upkeep on the power stations, because, you want to get as much money back as you can. The reduced cost on research and all the other research, monorails, different amenities. Also hatchery capacity, especially when dealing with some of the herbivores that need large herds to feel happy, as well as additional scheduling, the accuracy and reload speeds for rangers and helicopters, because when dinosaurs get sick, having some of these technologies on your buildings can really help with preventing diseases from getting out of hand really quick. But also, if you have the deluxe edition, you can also research for those, because definitely getting deluxe edition dinosaurs, as well as the Fallen Kingdom dinosaurs, they really do help with making sure you don't have a diversity penalty for having the same dinosaur species, because having all these different dinosaur species really does boost your dinosaur rating, which, is a big factor in your 5 stars. So, that's kind of just the basic structure of going through building a park. But of course, especially with the higher difficulties, you're gonna have to deal with all the different disasters and stuff. So the easiest one I would say to deal with is probably tornadoes, because really all you have to do to take care of them is just use the building tool for the fence and just follow the tornado around, and then just basically cover up holes that the tornado busts through with the fence so dinosaurs don't get out. And then, basically after the tornado just goes through, just basically send ranger teams at your leisure and just fix stuff where you can. I mean, it's the easiest to deal with, but I mean, you also have to make sure that the fences are pretty stable and stuff, because sometimes the carnivores and stuff might still want to break out even after the tornado's over with. So just be mindful of that, and always monitor all the dinosaurs to make sure they're content enough where they won't break out. So the other weather condition that I actually find this more annoying than tornadoes are the heavy rainstorms, but the way I basically just deal with them is to make sure that the island has storm defense cover for most of the buildings, especially the power buildings and the important operation buildings, because if you don't have the storm defense, then your building's going to be broken for a majority of the playthrough. So get these things. But even with these buildings in place, the storm defense buildings, other buildings around them will still take minor damage, but it won't be terribly expensive to fix, and they won't be completely unoperational when they're nicked a bit. But also with when dealing with tornadoes, another thing that I do is to double and triple layer fences by creating small interlocking rings between them. And the reason why I do this is because if irate dinosaurs want to break out, then they're going to have to break through several layers of fences before they, go, rampage and kill people. And, if you're able to build these different layers and stuff, then it'd be pretty easy just to go in with the ranger team and fix them after a storm. And, you won't have dinosaurs running around killing people and them wasting your money by all the lawsuits and stuff. So, yeah, definitely layer the fences where you can, because that will definitely save a lot, especially when dealing with raptors and other annoying little dinosaurs that want to break out and kill people a lot. So, but another strategy for dealing with storms and twisters, as well as just irate carnivores wanting to break out all the time, is to put small carnivores and large carnivores in the same locations, because not only does the same time and money off of building enclosures, but what I've noticed is that large carnivores like to chase around to get in territory duels with both each other and small carnivores. And when they do this, this takes away from them trying to want to break away from fences. So, giving them something to do besides, just wanting to break out and kill people will definitely go a long way with both reducing cost of fixing fences as well as, preventing them from getting out. So, it's pretty useful to do that. And unfortunately, there is some downsides for housing like different like small carnivores and large carnivores together, is that when you do that, sometimes like small carnivores especially, they get too afraid around the big carnivores, and because of that they don't eat or drink water to keep themselves full and hydrated, so they can die of starvation or dehydration. So you had to make sure that you have enough watering space as well as food areas, so they'll be able to take care of themselves pretty well. But also, if you have to tranquilize some small carnivores or whatever, and the big carnivores are just going to be mean, they're just going to start eating at them as soon as they're tranquilized. So it's a waste of money if dinosaurs die needlessly. So yeah, try to avoid tranquilizing things unnecessarily. And just make sure the enclosures are both large enough, have enough resources to go around for all carnivores. So you don't want the carnivores to be starving or dehydrated, because there's a welfare penalty if you have too many dinosaurs that are not looking too healthy out there. So just make sure that there's enough to cover all the needs. So but going on, so from disasters, so besides heavy storms and tornadoes, the other natural disaster you're going to experience is going to be diseases, which will almost always go almost always go around striking your dinosaurs as soon as a storm or tornado ends. So just be prepared for that. So usually how I deal with diseases is, of course, researching all the diseases as soon as you can unlock the new diseases and stuff with the research center. But also what I do is, before I feel like a disease is going to strike, I'm going to send out ranger teams in order to refill feeders, so they're already preemptively out and about doing stuff. So once a disease strikes, then it's pretty easy to take care of them. And you want to make sure that you cure all dinosaur diseases as quickly as possible, because diseases, especially in Jurassic difficulty, are no joke. They will take out dinosaurs in a heartbeat, and they will waste all of your money. Your park is going to go to bankruptcy immediately if a disease gets a hold in your park. You just want that stuff gone and out. So one other way that I deal with diseases is I have multiple ranger stations. So I have multiple vehicles and around multiple areas of the park. So I have teams that can respond quickly to more things, as well as you could put more than one car in an enclosure, so that you have essentially two eyes to take out all the different diseases in enclosures. So just be mindful that realistically diseases are probably the most dangerous thing you'll have to face when building these parks, especially on Jurassic difficulty. But if you're able to take them out before they're an issue, then it should be relatively smooth sailing. So another tip that I have is make sure you have space in your park for additional power stations and hotels, because you may never know if you're going to need one. So always have that space just in case, because if you don't have enough power, you don't have enough space for people, then you're not going to get this high star range you're going to need to win. But the reason also why I definitely say make spaces for power stations is because getting the research technology that adds essentially more power to individual stations will it's just basically asking for constant power outages. Just to avoid that, just go for just the buildings, and then just put things to reduce their cost, but don't put anything to increase their power output, because no. So the big difference, though, I would say, is between easy and medium difficulties and hard in Jurassic. And especially going for medium, that 3-hour achievement, because that's pretty hard to get, but it's fun to get. But comparing the two big types, like easy, medium, and hard in Jurassic. So with easy and medium, the thing that I really did with them was I prioritized constantly sending dig teams out to get as many dinosaurs as possible. And In these modes, usually the genomes of all the dinosaurs are about upper 70s to low 80s because, your whole thing is trying to pump them out as fast as you can because the time's ticking in those modes. And getting technologies like dig speeds was really important for me, as well as hatchery success since the dinosaurs didn't have complete genomes, they weren't guaranteed to survive the incubation process. So increasing hatchery success was definitely one of the most useful technologies in easy and medium. However, when it comes to the hard and Jurassic mode, it's less of a sprint compared to the other two, and it's more of like an endurance race, as in those two, it's basically about focusing on like slowly building a stable park and then releasing new dinosaurs at their maximum genome, because in those difficulty, you need a high dinosaur rating score in order to get the 5-star in that area. So having dinosaurs have their, the maximum potential as they can, so at 100% genome will definitely go a long way in getting those high ratings for those difficult modes. But, if you follow these basic tips, it's pretty easy, I would say, to get, I wouldn't say easy, but it was, it's feasible to get the, 5-star park in the time allotted. It's not really a rush. On both the hard and Jurassic difficulties, I was able to get the 5-star park in like 2 or so hours before the time was up, so it wasn't really a rush. So just take it slow and steady, and you should be pretty fine as long as you play it smart. Because making rash and rushed decisions without like thinking through to the end is going to be the death of those parks. So just be mindful and methodical, and it should be pretty, you should be pretty capable of doing it. It's not all that hard. It's just more annoying than hard, but it's doable. But these are some like other tips. Like, these are not things that I did personally in my parks, but some things that other people might try to do. So, I didn't really choose to use modifications or hybrids, but they're definitely viable options because they can definitely shoot up your ratings really high. But the big reasons why I didn't choose to use hybrids or modification is because, well, both of them are very expensive to get out in your park. And for modifications, they decrease the viability of dinosaurs in the incubation period. So I personally would rather have a dinosaur, come out 100% successful and be a slightly lower rating than a dinosaur with a slightly higher rating but a chance of dying before incubation. So I don't like wasting my money, and especially with some of the modifications. The modifications are not really worth, like, they can boost a star rating like a bit, but they're worth much more than like what they're actually worth. So I just avoid them. And hybrids are, also like they're the highest rated dinosaurs in the game. So, getting an I-Rex or an Indoraptor can be really cool. But, they're also expensive to get out. And since they're crazy and murder happy, I personally prefer the whole steady, slow, stable park versus like the whole like super exciting and volatile park where all these dinosaurs are constantly trying to break out. You can do it that way. That's definitely one way to get a faster time than what I do, but, there's a lot more risk involved. So, there's that. But one thing that I definitely try to do is, I definitely try to have a hatchery attached to each cage, or a Hammond Creation Lab. Sorry, I shouldn't refer to a hatchery because that's JPOG, but yeah. But anyway, Hammond Creation thingy on each cage because, you definitely, especially on hard and Jurassic, you are going to replace dinosaurs as they're going to die of old age, or, hopefully you don't want them dying of diseases, but when they die, you want to replace them really fast, especially the high social needs one, because, if they lose one of their friends that they needed, then they might go on a rampage. So you want to be on that really quick. But one thing that I did was I would create like one over the bare minimum social need if I could. So even if one died, then they should be relatively content before I replace one, so I don't have to worry too much about it. So, these are just my basic tips on just dealing with these modes. It's fun. It can be stressful, but it's definitely something. So, so this is the end of the video. You can enjoy the rest of the playthrough. So I'm signing out. Have a nice day, and Hope to see you guys in the future. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications, all that good stuff. But yeah, see you guys then.
Resupply request acknowledged. Asset to be collected.
We are pleased to welcome Nodosaurus to the
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be the best in the world? Well, wonder no more, because that, my friend, is where you find yourself. Congrats! You couldn't have done it without me.